So we see that atoms, the very fabric of our universe, can withstand conditions far beyond our wildest imaginations. We are MindArt100. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us. Now let's shift our focus to genes. Unlike atoms, genes demand a very specific environment to survive. But why? Just as every living creature has a preferred habitat, so too do genes, the microscopic building blocks of life. Genes are made up of DNA and carry the instructions for making proteins, the workhorses of our cells. But these instructions can only be carried out under the right conditions. Think of genes as the most delicate of houseplants, needing just the right amount of sunlight, water, and temperature to thrive. In humans, for instance, our genes function best at a cozy body temperature of around 37 degrees Celsius. Any significant deviation from this temperature can cause our genes to malfunction, leading to a host of health issues. Animals and plants are no different. Polar bears, for example, have genes that have adapted to thrive in extreme cold, while cacti have genes that flourish in the scorching heat of the desert. But these genes would struggle if their environments were abruptly changed, much like a polar bear in the Sahara or a cactus in the Arctic. But what about the most extreme environments on Earth and beyond? Deep in the ocean trenches, high up in the stratosphere, or out in the cold void of space? Sadly, our genes are not made of the same stern stuff as atoms. They cannot survive the crushing pressures, the lethal radiation, or the absolute zero temperatures of these hostile environments. So, while atoms, the fundamental building blocks of matter, can exist virtually anywhere, from the heart of a star to the edge of a black hole, genes are much more finicky. They require a Goldilocks environment, not too hot, not too cold, but just right, to carry out their vital role in the machinery of life. Genes, it seems, are not as hardy as atoms, preferring carefully prepared environments for their survival. But what makes an environment optimal for gene survival? Let's take a closer look. Genes, the building blocks of life as we know it, have a particular fondness for certain conditions. They thrive in environments that are neither too hot nor too cold, neither too acidic nor too alkaline. You could say genes are a bit like Goldilocks, always looking for conditions that are just right. But why is this the case? Why can't genes survive in the extreme environments where atoms and elements seem to exist with ease? The answer lies in the intricate and delicate nature of genetic material. Genes are composed of DNA, a complex molecule that can easily be damaged by conditions that are too harsh. Extreme heat can cause the DNA strands to separate, while extreme cold can slow down the metabolic processes necessary for the gene's survival. Now consider the vast variety of environments on Earth alone. From the searing heat of the Sahara Desert to the frigid cold of the Antarctic, from the crushing pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench to the thin oxygen-poor atmosphere atop Mount Everest. Yet life, and therefore genes, have found ways to exist in all these places. It's a testament to the incredible adaptability of life. The story doesn't stop at the boundaries of our planet. When we look to the stars, we find environments that are even more extreme. The scorching surface of Venus, the icy moons of Jupiter, the vacuum of space itself. Yet, the search for extraterrestrial life continues, driven by the belief that if life can adapt to the diverse environments on Earth, why not elsewhere in our solar system, our galaxy, or even our observable cosmos? But whether here on Earth or out in the cosmos, one thing remains constant: the need for an optimal environment for genes. An environment that provides the right conditions for these delicate structures to carry out their work of coding for life. Thus, the optimal environment for genes is a delicate balance, a Goldilocks condition of just right. But why can't every gene simply adapt to survive in any environment, like atoms do? You might wonder. Well, let's dive right into it. Unlike atoms, which are the building blocks of everything, genes are the building blocks of life, and life is a lot more complicated. Genes are made up of DNA, which in turn is made up of atoms. But it's not just any atoms that can make up DNA. It's a very specific combination of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus. Picture a gene like a house. Just as a house needs specific materials to be built, like bricks, cement, and wood, genes need specific atoms to be constructed. But not only that, they also need a suitable environment to function optimally. A house, for instance, needs a stable ground to stand on and suitable weather conditions to last. Similarly, genes need an optimal environment to survive and perform their function. Now, consider the different environments where atoms can survive. They can withstand the scorching temperatures of the sun, the frigid vacuum of space, and the crushing pressure of the Earth's core. But a gene, like a house, would not survive in any of these conditions. It needs a specific range of temperatures and pressures, and the right mix of other atoms and molecules around it. Just as a house cannot be built in the middle of a stormy ocean or on the surface of the sun, a gene cannot survive in extreme hot or cold conditions. It needs a stable, controlled environment, like the one provided by the cells in our bodies. That's why life as we know it is confined to certain places in the universe, where the conditions are just right. So, while atoms can survive in a wide range of conditions, genes are much more picky. They need specific atoms to be built and a specific environment to function. Without the right conditions, genes would not be able to do their job, which is to code for the proteins that make up all living things. Genes then are dependent on the right mix of atoms and elements, a balance that is not always easy to achieve. So we've seen how genes survive, but what drives them to grow, to expand, to replicate? Let's delve into the fascinating world of genetic expansion and growth. Genes, which are segments of DNA, carry the instructions for building and maintaining an organism. But they don't just exist in isolation. They are driven by a powerful urge to replicate, to create copies of themselves. This is one of the fundamental principles of life itself, the desire to continue, to endure. Now you might wonder, how does a gene know to do this? The truth is, genes don't think or feel, but they respond to the environment around them. When conditions are right, when the environment is optimal with the right mix of atoms and elements, genes are triggered into action. They initiate a process known as replication, where they make exact copies of themselves. But genes don't just replicate willy-nilly. They do so in a controlled and regulated manner, guided by the intricate machinery of the cell. This replication process involves intricate steps and a host of other molecules, including proteins and enzymes, which themselves are products of genes. And here's where it gets even more interesting. While genes strive to make exact copies of themselves, occasionally errors or mutations occur. These mutations, while sometimes detrimental, can also lead to new traits, new abilities, essentially evolution. This is how genes give birth to new genes. It's a beautiful dance of life at its most fundamental level. Genes also interact with atoms and elements in the process of transcription and translation, where the information in a gene is used to create proteins. These proteins then perform a variety of functions in the body, from building structures to catalyzing chemical reactions. In this way, genes not only survive but also strive to perpetuate themselves, using atoms and elements as their tools. It's an endless cycle, a dance of life that's been going on for billions of years and will continue for billions more. So, the next time you look in the mirror, remember, you're not just seeing yourself. You're witnessing the result of countless generations of genes striving to grow, to expand, to replicate. So, what can we learn from the survival strategies of atoms and genes in these extreme conditions? Atoms, those building blocks of matter, display an extraordinary ability to endure. They can exist virtually anywhere, from the scorching core of our Earth to the vast, cold expanses of space. They even find home in the singularity of black holes and the farthest corners of our observable cosmos. Their resilience is unparalleled, a testament to their inherent structure and stability. On the other hand, genes, the blueprint of life, adopt a different survival strategy. Unlike atoms, they require specific conditions to thrive. They are the meticulous artists needing an optimal environment to perform their delicate work of building and maintaining life. From humans to animals and trees, every gene on Earth and potentially in the cosmos has evolved to survive in the specific environment in which they are born. This contrast in survival strategies leads us to an intriguing interplay between atoms and genes. Genes, despite their need for optimal conditions, rely heavily on the atoms that make up their environment. It's a symbiotic relationship where genes utilize atoms to carry out their functions, while atoms get to participate in the grandeur of life. However, genes go a step further. They don't just survive. They seek to grow and expand. They use atoms to replicate, to give birth to new genes, and to propagate life. This drive for expansion is perhaps what makes genes so unique, so vital to the existence of life. In the end, it's a fascinating dance of survival and growth, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of life at its most fundamental level. It's a complex interplay, a cosmic ballet that continues to unfold as we further our understanding of the universe we inhabit. Every new discovery, Every insight brings us a step closer to understanding the grand scheme of existence. In the end, it's a fascinating dance of survival and growth, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of life at its most fundamental level.